Joining us now, retired Navy Rear Admiral and Foundation for Defense of Democracy Senior Fellow, Mark Montgomery. Admiral Montgomery, put in perspective how important these three-way talks are, but what we could potentially expect to get out of them.
Hey, I think these are first, thank you for having me. And I do think these are big, important talks. And the reason is, with the three people in the room, the three countries represented in the room, you can now get concessions from each side. By going just one-on-one, we basically have not been able to move the Russians off their core, what they call their Anchorage position, one that they stated in Anchorage, Alaska, in the meeting between Putin and Trump. So I'm hoping that at this three-way meeting, you can start to have some concessions on each side, because so far we've really only seen concessions from the Ukrainian side over the last 10 months of meetings that President Trump's team has organized.
Are you getting the sense that Putin is ready to make a move to maybe offer more? He's been very intransigent so far. Something about the context telling you this is the time?
Well, the fact that he's agreed to these is a sign. But I will tell you, my experience, I spent a lot of time in Ukraine training their forces. As much as I know the Ukrainians won't lose on the battlefront, I haven't seen any give in the Russian position. And he has once again ordered up 410,000 troops for the next year for an offensive in 2026. And even though he loses literally 150,000 of those 400,000 dead and 200,000 wounded, I think he's going to do it again in 2026. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the president can make a breakthrough, or his team can make a breakthrough in these discussions.
Let's move on to this, sir. President Trump disinvited Canada from Board of Peace, the Board of Peace in Davos, adding on Truth Social, quote, Canada is against the Golden Dome being built over Greenland, even though the Golden Dome would protect Canada. Instead, they voted in favor of doing business with China, who will eat them up within the first year. So you think Canada's out permanently? And how do you feel more broadly about the Board of Peace as a mechanism for really bringing peace around the globe?
So I think the Board of Peace as a mechanism for restoring humanitarian and economic assistance to Gaza is the best possible tool. I think the United Nations and UNRWA are too compromised to do this. So the president's right to use the Board of Peace for this. I think when you extend it to a global entity, I mean, even the president acknowledged today that he'll have to work with the United Nations on that. And I am disappointed about the breach with Canada. Canada has been a very good ally of the United States, but they've made errors. They haven't given enough to defense over the years. But as we sit here tonight, U.S. and Canadian planes are jointly patrolling our airspace. U.S. and Canadian radars are jointly monitoring our airspace. We're doing missile defense and air defense together and have been under the NORAD construct for more than 50 years. We need to return to that relationship, not the one that Prime Minister Carney and President Trump are expressing to each other right now.
Well, how quickly will Mark Carney learn his lesson and have China basically pull all available natural resources out of Canada and isolate that economy in a way that it's difficult to claw your way back from?
I think the Chinese making a deal with Canada instead of the Canadians make a deal with China instead of working hard on the appropriate deal with the United States and Mexico is really the way forward. Vice the deal with China.
Admiral Mark Montgomery, you know what you're talking about. It's really good to speak with you today. Thanks for sharing all your knowledge.
Thanks for having me.